Well, some are calling it a free pass for millions. That's anything but free. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you. I'm Neil Cavuto. Well, the president's celebrating his executive action on illegal immigration in, of all places, Sin City. And to hear Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, it will be a sin if you do not whoop it up, too.
I'm excited about the courage of this president. I look forward to America finally understanding the gifts that you are given. Let us not be a selfish nation. Let us be a generous nation.
I think we're a pretty generous nation. But think about what you just said. You're selfish if you're not pumped up for what the president just did for illegals. To Ben Stein, Charles Payne, Dagan McDowell, and Adam Lashinsky. Charlie Gasparino will be back next week. He's so flummoxed by this, he just couldn't come in. And who can blame him? Charles Payne, what do you make of this?
If it came from anybody else, I'd be shocked. She's not upset about all of the money that we are spending, that other people have earned that we're spending. She's okay with that.
Right.
She's okay with disregarding all the sacrifices people have made who waited in line. There are people who actually followed the rule of law. And then finally, she's not upset about the selfishness of spending trillions of dollars of taxpayer money on people that broke the law. She's not upset with that selfishness. That's not in her skewed mind what the real problem is.
You seem upset.
I am, because what she said was nonsense.
Understood.
I don't like the name calling. I don't care if you're on the right or the left, but selfish. What is she, if she's into name calling, what is she going to call all of those immigrants who came to this country legally and the hurdles that they have had to jump to get here and stay here? They're the ones who are upset. How is she going to address them? Rightfully so, they're angry.
Adam, what do you think of what she said?
Well, I think it's fine to focus on the word selfish, because I do think that's what people are being, but I'll focus instead on the word generous. She's encouraging Americans to be generous.
Please, who's being selfish?
People, the people, politicians, the people in the electorate who are standing in the way of immigration reform. The president, I think, put it well when he said he wants to give some of these people the opportunity to, quote, get right with the law. These are people who have broken the law. They want to get right with the law. They want to be in this country legally. And we all recognize that it's in everybody's advantage for some of them to be here legally. He's trying. And others aren't, and she's name-calling. That's fine. My reaction to her statement is, I agree with her. We should be as generous as possible to these people.
It's all on our dime. What's the big deal, right?
Yes.
Ben Stein, what do you say?
Well, all human beings are selfish. That is the nature of human beings. It's selfish of Ms. Jackson Lee to be appealing to her base and to the Democratic machinery by calling the Republicans selfish. But look, it is not selfish to want to enforce the laws. It is not selfish for Americans to want to have an America that has borders. It is not selfish for Americans to want to shell out of their pockets, out of their hard-earned wages, they don't want to have to support illegal aliens. Where on earth in the whole world would we be taking in millions of illegal aliens, supporting many of them? To call Americans selfish, to call Americans ungenerous is an absolute outrage. It reminds me of another S word, stupid.
Well, I'll answer that. I mean, this devolves into cliche very quickly, but we're a nation of immigrants. We've been very generous to immigrants in the past, and I understand there's a legality issue here, and we're trying to work our way through that. But that's the subject at hand.
Okay. Look, guys, I think Americans can be faulted for a lot of things. I don't think selfish comes to mind. I mean, we're obviously the most generous people on earth, and no matter what, even when these 60, 80,000 kids, whatever it was, came this summer, a blip to hear the president tell it this week. But we footed the bill, and towns and communities as we speak are educating them, housing them, doing all of that.
Get ready to be more generous, because with this action, you're encouraging illegal immigrants to get in this country, counting on future
amnesty. You just hit on a key
point
here, and I think that, I think we could realistically assess here, it's hard to deport tens of millions, whatever. But I do think that the way this is being done, and the brazenly politically way this is being done, does kind of get back to the stupid label that Ben alluded to.
Well, not only stupid, it's interesting how all of a sudden the whole narrative is skewed toward not the lawbreaker being the person who's wrong, but the person that objects to the law being broken being the person that's wrong. That is some mind-boggling psychology.
Very well put.
It is amazing how well they have.
Let me write that down because I'm going to use this in future shows and claim it as my line.
With credit.
That's a very well
Charles,
it's
but Neil,
Go ahead.
I think the president addressed this. I mean, we all recognize that we have a problem. And I mean, I don't think we need a blame game. I think we need a solution to the problem. By the way, I'll say this right now. I don't like this executive order thing. I would much rather that we have legislation around this, and I think there's still time. I wish we would.
Well, do you find it odd then, Adam, that the president didn't even give that a chance? Let's say you say, oh, Republicans didn't do anything in the House. You could quibble with the way they went about this process. I'll leave ancient history as ancient history. But you didn't even give the new Congress a chance to come up with something. So it was brazenly political to punt this after the midterms because that was a political move. And then to go back at the other side for saying that it has been politically disingenuous. I just think the whole thing stinks, and the rationale for it is what's phony.
So first of all, Neil, no argument. Okay, plain and simple, no argument to what you just said. But he's watching President Bush having failed on this issue. He has failed on this issue. So he said, pass a bill. That's the best he can do right now, he thinks.
Ben Stein.
But since when is it selfish for Americans to want to have secure borders? Since when is it selfish for Americans to want the Constitution followed in the implementation of laws? Since when is it selfish for us to want a president to not be, in his own words, an emperor, but a president?
If we're going to use that word, you know it's really selfish. You know the younger people who are here under the president's 2-year-old deferred action for childhood arrivals. See, the parents of those kids who got work cards, got to stay in this country, the parents are not included in this 4 million number because it only applies to the parents of people with permanent work permits.
You don't think they will be included?
That's my point. They're mad that those parents aren't included in this, that you have to be the parent of someone who's
just
here
like they're mad
legally and permanently.
Dagan, I mean, let's be real here. They're also mad about the fact that some of the liberal groups who wanted more generosity.
Right. That's selfish.
They claim that, all right, well, you know, this only affects those who've been here 5 years or more, as if they can readily provide documentation 5 years, 50 years. So all I know is there's a new cottage industry being born as we speak in fake document writing to try to say that you've been here longer than 5 years to sign up.
Yeah, I think that industry has been around for a while. Listen, Dagan and in my mind, Ben, they both hit the nail on the head. If the president's really serious about this, we start first and foremost, let's secure the border. You know, we talk about past ancient history. Let's talk about the future. No, but really, not in a sort of disingenuous, you know, hey, we're going to do this. Make that the central issue right now. I think a lot of people would believe, he'd be more believable that this isn't the first of a series of steps that ultimately would be amnesty for 12 million people, because we know that's the ultimate desire on his part. No one believes the president, Adam. You know, just why don't we do something really serious about stopping this issue, and then we can deal with what we've got internally.
It's a fair point, Charles, but I disagree with you. The central issue are these 12 million people. The border is secure. It's just not perfect. So, yes, let's make it better.
It must not be too secure because
we wouldn't have 12 million in the first place.
It can't be too secure because they're running through that like I go through a Ponderosa buffet. So something is wrong. That's what I'm saying. Something is wrong. We're going to have a lot more on this, and of course on Fox Business, because this issue is getting to be as big an economic one as a political one. But in the meantime, thanks, guys.